how's it going? This is Nanice, and this is your astrology reading for the new moon in Pisces, which is happening on Wednesday, March the 2nd at 7:34 p.m. Cairo, Egypt time. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. If you have not yet already done so, please subscribe. Please send me a comment. Please like and share. All these actions help to support my channel. So thank you so much for supporting me. I'm going to start off by talking about the collective energies during this new moon. And then I'm going to go through each individual zodiac sign and cover the topics that this new moon may light up for you. I highly urge you to use your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you need to find out what time of the day you were born and use the free online calculator that's in the description box below and find out what your rising sign is. If you don't know what time you were born, then you can go with your sun sign if you were born during the day, or you can go with your moon sign if you were born during the night. But I highly urge you to find out what your rising sign is, because that will be way more accurate. Okay, so I'm going to go on with the collective now. This new moon in Pisces is going to be a time of renewed faith, of renewed optimism, and the sharing of the abundances that we have in our lives. Jupiter in traditional astrology is known as the greater benefic. It is a planet that brings gifts, that brings a sense of unity in underlying all the things that we encounter in our life. It is a planet that's symbolic of knowledge, of teachers. It's a planet that gives us a sense of faith and gives us a sense of optimism. And with this new moon happening so close to the planet Jupiter, next to Neptune, I feel that there's going to be a highlighting of the topics of faith and mysticism and how important and relevant it is in our lives right now. At the moment, I've been talking to a lot of people, and I've been seeing what's out there on the news and on social media, and there's a lot of anxiety and fear surrounding the topic of war and of battles and of the clashing of the egos. And this is a fact of life, that I'm not at all saying that war is okay. You know, war is absolutely, it's horrible, and I'm not at all condoning war. However, as long as humanity has existed on this planet, there's always been wars. There's always been death and decay and destruction and sorrows and anxiety and despair. All these things exist. We do not live in paradise. And as long as we are alive and breathing in our physical bodies, we are going to encounter these themes repeatedly. This is a fact of life. So why does God let this happen to us? Why does this happen? Well, we are not our physical bodies. This life here is not the real life. It is it exists, but we are spiritual beings. We are our souls. And if we live our life through this perspective that we are eternal souls and that we live forever, then things start changing. We start to shift out of the ego more into the state of mystical union. So if we could use these challenging situations that we encounter in life, such as death and decay and sorrow, and if we could use that to draw ourselves closer to our Creator and to attend to our spirit, then all these things are in fact not bad at all. All is good and all is God. And this is when we start living from the eye of the mystic. So that's all I have for the collective portion of this reading. I'm going to go through each individual zodiac sign, and I really recommend you use the rising sign. Starting off with Aries, this new moon is happening in your 12th house of hidden enemies, secrets, self-sabotage, addictions, hospitals, monasteries, retreats, isolation, ego loss. So it's a little bit of a challenging part of the sky for you. However, with the presence of Jupiter there, I really feel it's a great time to do things of like selfless, not doing things for your ego, but really seeing all as one and doing things without seeking any personal gain. It's a great time to start such spiritual activities. For Taurus, this is happening in your 11th house of aspiration, friends, social groups, allies, benefactors, and wishes for the future. So there's going to be a new start that's going to be beneficent to you somehow, having to do with those topics. And Jupiter is also happy in the 11th house. It loves being in the 11th house. So it's like an added layer of things to look forward for you. Perhaps there's a lot of gifts to be had through your social groups and friends and allies and colleagues, or maybe you have a lot of gifts to give to them. But I feel it's a time of renewed faith and optimism having to do with those topics for you. For Gemini, this is happening in your 10th house of career, public reputation, honors, privileges, advancements. And if you don't have a career, maybe it's that you're a stay-at-home parent or a caregiver. It's having to do with those topics. So how you spend your days and what you are known to do out in the world. So with this new moon happening in your 10th house, I see really good things happening in the realms that I just listed. And it's a new start. And you're going to be feeling an increased sense of hope having to do with your career and what you do with your time. For Cancer, this is happening in your 9th house of God, higher education, spirituality, mysticism, astrology, law, politics, long distance trips, foreign countries, foreign people, foreign things. So with the new moon happening here, it's a new start of especially having to do with your faith. So I feel like faith is like going to be a major theme for you in the upcoming 28 days. And it's going to benefit you greatly. Perhaps you're going to be gaining spiritual knowledge, or you're going to be doing some sort of spiritual practice or teaching that's going to be incredibly beneficial for you somehow. For Leo, this is happening in your 8th house of obligations, joint assets, taxes, loans, debts, inheritance, a sense of you owing something to someone or someone owing something to you. So it doesn't have to be a material thing. It can be like feeling obligated, death, and transformation. So, and 8th house is also the house of gaining through other people's misfortunes. So there's going to be a new start and a highlighting of those topics during this time. For Virgo, this is happening in your 7th house of partnerships, spouse, one-on-one relationships, and business partnerships and clients. So there's going to be a new start, a new seed being planted that's going to be influencing the next 28 days that's having to do with those topics. And it's going to be a positive one for you, God willing. For Libra, this is happening in your... For Virgo, this is happening in your 7th house of partnerships, spouse, one-on-one relationships, romantic relationships, but not necessarily romantic. It can be any one-on-one, and business partnerships and clients. So there's going to be a new start having to do with those topics, and you will greatly benefit from whatever alliances, whatever new alliances you may be forming right now. Any type of one-on-one thing has some goodness to it, and it's going to renew your faith in those topics that I just listed. For Libra, this is happening in your 6th house of service, daily routines, sickness, hard work, toil and labor, workers, employees, and pets. So there's going to be a new start having to do with those topics, and it's going to increase your sense of faith, and it's going to be toning the next 28 days. For Scorpio, this is happening in your 5th house of creativity, children, pregnancy, the arts, recreation, hobbies, and pleasure. So there's going to be a new start having to do with those topics, and it's going to be one that you feel is positive, and one that you feel you can share with others, or perhaps it will bring gifts to you. So gifts to share or gifts to receive, having to do with those topics. For Sagittarius, this is happening in your 4th house of foundations, home, family, father, ancestry, parents, roots, land, property, things hidden under the ground, secrets and mysteries, the grave, and things and places beneath the earth, beneath the ground. So there's going to be a new start having to do with those topics and related to the realms of Jupiter that I just talked about earlier, which is renewed faith, optimism, abundance, and increased faith. For Capricorns, this is happening in your 3rd house of siblings, extended family, neighborhood, neighbors, folk culture, reading, writing, communicating, teaching, short distance trips, and the life of the mind and communications, daily communications. So there's going to be a new start having to do with those topics. And with Jupiter present there during this time, I feel you might be engaging in some sort of learning or teaching, and it's going to be of great benefit to you somehow. Or you're going to be receiving gifts or giving gifts or sharing your abundance with your extended family or with your neighbors. For Aquarius, this is happening in your 2nd house of personal possessions, money, personal resources, and assets, including your time and your skill set. With Jupiter present there, I feel you're going to be, there's a lot of gains to be had, a lot of abundance to be received during this time. You could be doing well in terms of your finances during this next lunar cycle. It's a time and maybe you're going to be spending your time more on your faith and more on activities related to mysticism or activities related to dissolving the boundaries between you and God, or between you and others, and sharing the goodness to be had. For Pisces, this is happening in a very personal part of the sky for you. It's happening in your 1st house of your body, of your appearance, of your health, your vitality, your character, your spirit, your psychology, as well as your life direction. So I feel it's a extremely beneficial new moon for Pisces out there. It's going to be perhaps shifting your life direction to one towards more optimism and faith. And you could be feeling more positive in general around this time, and you could be experiencing increased health, increased abundance, and all that good stuff. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope this reading helps you. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you find value to these videos, please consider donating to my channel. If you want to book a personal reading with me, please email me, and I'll be speaking to you guys soon during the full moon. Have a very blessed new moon in Pisces. Bye.